Hello, my friend. I wish I was there to give you a hug, but this will have to do for now. Please allow yourself to think back to the first statement you made with our initial contact. It was, I think I accidentally woke up and mismanaged the whole thing. The truth is, when I read the statement, I instantly felt love within, because if we remove the negative emotion from your statement, it simply reads, I woke up. Please join me as we look within and understand why we would view waking up through a negative emotion instead of knowing the positive truth. Before we begin, please allow me to say, I love you. And I recognize the only way you will believe what I just said is by knowing me on a deeper level so that you can accept it as truth. For this to happen, we must connect on a spiritual level. We can achieve this simply by placing our hands on the screen in front of us. So please literally place your hand on the screen. And now we close our eyes and listen to every word without allowing our mind to think. By keeping our eyes closed, we're able to silence one of our senses, and this helps us hear the voice in our mind instead of our mind creating thought. Now we begin to recognize that we are truly connecting through spiritual energy. Positive energy resonates through the vibrational frequency, and we begin to feel a sensation of peace. Our hand is connecting us through the screen, and we recognize that we are connecting even though we have never met. With our eyes closed, we are now in each other's mind. We continue to connect through positive energy as one. We feel our hands embracing each other through the glass. Let us recognize we feel the temperature through the glass. Is it cold or warm? Is it hard or soft? Textured or smooth? Clammy or dry? As we continue to steadily connect, we recognize that we are not alone. As we let go of our emotions, we feel our connection within the palm of our hand. We feel the bones within our fingers and how the small bones are connected to the larger bones as they progress up our hand. We choose to allow our body to feel our energy merging through our hand. We feel a slight warmth as cells within our hand can sense our connectedness. We feel our combined energy gradually moving up our arm. We recognize a slight sensation proceeding up our forearm to our elbow. From our elbow through our bicep, from our bicep through our shoulder. Now we have reached our central core. As our energy gracefully flows through our veins, through our arteries, we can eventually reach our heart. Our heart begins to feel as if it is weightless. There is no pressure from external forces. We feel our blood gently flowing through our whole body without any resistance. Our energy flows through our arms, to the tips of our fingers, through our legs, to the tips of our toes, up our neck until it reaches our brain. We now know we are completely connected as one. We are no longer alone. we are connected as one, we look back in time to understand why our mind perceived us as being apart. We allow our mind to think back to the beginning of our human existence, when we had the instinct to survive and found shelter in caves. Now that we are back at the beginning of our existence, we can move our hand away from the screen and open our eyes because we are no longer alone. If you have not already done so, please open your eyes. Let us recognize the beginning of our existence. Our mind only knew that our species needed to survive. But we noticed that our fellow humans were being eaten by most creatures. That is when our mind learned fear, because fear would give us the ability to recognize danger. Let us call this the negative first perspective. As we had children, we noticed their minds were not aware of the fear. Therefore, we taught them the negative first perspective. As time progressed, so did new dangers. So the next generation taught their children the dangers their parents taught them. They also taught the new generational dangers. Let us call this negative first, second perspective. Then the next generation taught additional generations, and then we had negative first, third perspective, and then we had negative fourth perspective, and so on until the current generation. Now, if we accept the Holy Bible as true, then God created earth 600 years ago, and on the sixth day God created man and all living creatures. If we consider the average generation as 20 years, and we then divide 20 into 6,000, and we recognize that our human race is 300 generations old, let us recognize this as negative first 300 perspective. Now, if we recognize that we have had 300 generations of negativity programmed into our mind, we understand that our mind automatically looks for the negative first perspective at a frequency rate of 300 to 1 in order to protect us. But a conscious mind recognizes that every time we're looking from the negative first perspective, we've overlooked 299 positive truths within the exact same experience. But the good news is, if we pull up a negative memory and we allow ourselves to start finding the positive we overlooked, then the negative memories are no longer useful in defending us, and the mind puts it at the back of our memories and files it as wisdom from the experience. These cyclic polynomials within our mind take place until one of three things happen. A, our belief system is able to override the negative first perspective at a frequency rate of positive emotions greater than negative emotions. We can call this optimistic, happy, at peace, and so on. Or B, our mind becomes incapable of recognizing the positive and only cycles within the negative emotions. That would be referred to as pessimistic, non-conscious, depressed, suicidal, etc. And then we have C. Our soul has finally matured enough to begin to take charge, giving the mind the ability to start relaxing. Our soul teaches our mind the negative emotions were only there to protect the body until the soul can do the job. We call this consciousness, the Holy Spirit within, God's grace, and so on. So now let's think of the comment. I think I accidentally woke up and mismanaged the whole thing. The positive truth is, we are finally at the point our soul is able to break out of our shell. Like a newborn, we might have a hard time understanding. Therefore, the ones who love us might project negative energy towards us as a way of protecting us from ourselves. But we now know we are not alone. We now can connect with our loved ones by doing the same as we just did. If our loved ones choose not to connect on this level, then we empathize by understanding that not all souls are ready to exist or exit out of their shell. It is written that Son of Man said, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." We now are able to recognize that our mind is beginning to swim, and I will go for now, but the truth is, I never existed, only we. We love you, our friend, and we will talk again soon.